Welcome back to the Divine Plan Project. I'm Deb.
And I'm Deb's project partner on this, Glenn.
And today we're going to be bringing you loads more information. You can see where we've been already with much of the background being covered. And today we're going into dimensions and the criteria for the dimensions, how they came about in the new cosmos, how they were defined, as well as a little bit about the project status. So let's get started. If we think about people who have gone from 3D consciousness in low vibrational frequencies, perhaps feeling disempowered or even victimized, all the way up to 5D consciousness, which is full unity consciousness, there are a number of steps that are in between, a number of different ways of viewing consciousness and the world around them. And so to get through those steps, everyone has lessons to learn, yes? And the better that we learn those lessons, and the more that we can integrate them into our everyday and change our behaviors, the further along we're going to actually move on this continuum. And so if we look at this continuum here, maybe we start off in life way up here, feeling unity consciousness as a baby, but then through programming, through the world around us, through schools and other organizations, and actually feedback from the world around us, we might feel a bit humble, we might feel a little lack of confidence at times, and we might feel like lots of other people who have far more achievements than us are more empowered than we are. So we start at the top and we end up down at the bottom, and then we progress, understanding our own power in the world and becoming more empowered. And this is if we're healthy. We continue to progress with our viewpoints and collect information, knowledge, and wisdom. And we progress up. And of course, there are very few who have made it to full unity consciousness while on this planet, at least. We're told around 110,000 people have actually graduated into 5D consciousness from this planet. If you think about it, there's over 8 billion people on this planet now. And if you go back to thousands of years or tens of thousands, as some historians say, then basically that's very few individuals who have been able to progress all the way down this continuum. The other part about this continuum is we all have a natural state. So it doesn't mean that we don't go back down into the disempowered or less empowered moments, or that we don't have moments of full bliss and peace where we are feeling the we are and we are moving towards unity consciousness. But on this continuum, we have a natural state or a natural default position. And we should find that year upon year, we are moving up this continuum with our natural default. And of course, we should be starting to see that we can stay there more easily as we integrate the lessons. That's no different in the new, okay? But if you look at what's going on now, we've got this 3D planet. Then we've got the 5D that we hear about so much from the spiritual community, this ascension, the raising of the frequencies and vibrations. And we can see the evidence that this is actually occurring. However, it's causing a lot of frustration, a lot of pain, distortion of frequencies. Those of us who are empaths, those of us who are supposed to feel this ascension, it can feel quite painful. And then there's the whole rest of the world that it's like trying to put an overlay over the top of what exists. And some of us are beginning to resonate with that frequency, but then that's discordant or there's disharmony with the other 3D frequency. So the way that this would work really well is if we had different places. Of course, we're going to call them Earth for our Earth brains to understand and make sense of this analogy. But there was originally supposed to be the multiple dimensions. So the third dimension, the fourth dimension, and the fifth. Now, the fourth dimension was destroyed by some beings. And so many in the spiritual world say, well, we go to the fourth to do our shadow work now because it's a place of darkness.
It wasn't always supposed to be like
supposed to
that.
be like that. It was supposed to be part of the ascension pathway. So, of course, if you take the middle rungs of a ladder out, it makes that ladder a lot harder to ascend. You can, but got to have some pretty strong muscles to climb a ladder without the rungs being there. So you can imagine that if we have this do-over, it would be perfect to have 3 different places for these varying dimensions. Yes?
Yes, and you can't, if you were to bring the 5D here, essentially, you can't just leave the 4D destroyed. You would have to rebuild all of these dimensions in alignment.
For Ascension,
For
if you
Ascension,
wanted
yes.
it perfect. So this was another reason that the decision was made not to stay here, but to actually replicate the cosmos from 12,000 years ago, go forward and actually create more spaces. This is not just for humans, by the way. This is for terrestrials as well. These impacts haven't just been on our reality, they've been on theirs as well. So if we think about this, you're going to go, but Deb, I'm experiencing 5D now. You could absolutely be experiencing that if you're a light worker or a helper or whatever way you'd like to self-identify. If you are starting to experiencing or have been experiencing ascension symptoms, that's absolutely possible because there's this group or cohort that are here. Some say the 144,000, but if you think about how long we've been here and how large populations have grown, that number is probably not even
There's many more.
there has to be many more. It can't be representatives of the actual number of people that are here experiencing these 5D ascension symptoms. That is for those helpers. That is to get us into a space to be supports to all others who are going to have to go through the death of this earth and the death of this cosmos. We're the ones here to anchor hope and remind beings of their eternal nature, regardless of their beliefs, that there is more than meets the eye, and that while things may fall apart here, there is better to come. And you may be one of those beings that is helping in one way or another. So to self-identify, of course, this list isn't exhaustive, but just to give you some idea of what we hear from those who are here and really feeling these ascension symptoms, they often feel different, like very unique. They feel like they don't belong here or that it isn't their natural home. Sometimes it's that they know they're here to help and that there is more than just this place. They may experience the unseen regularly, while others feel that there's only what we can see and feel here and now. They can find being on Earth quite a painful experience working with humans when their viewpoints are so different because they're empathetic and highly aware of other people's feelings, and it doesn't seem to be working in return. It can feel very disgruntled or it can cause them a lot of pain. Most of them feel they're here for more than this, and that there's a special purpose for them being here now. And often they may see through the illusions of the world around them as they go through this awakening and ascension, and they wonder, why don't others see what's going on here? Yeah. There are those people who you think, I've got their back, and when you need it, when the chips are down, they don't have yours. And you think, how is it that humans are like this? Like, what's going on here? The loyalty that often we light workers or helpers have usually exceeds the loyalty of the average human.
And it doesn't appear to be reciprocated for the most part.
Yeah, it can often be disillusioning because you think, wow, the better I am, the less loyalty sometimes. Now, this isn't always a given, but these are just some of the things that we hear people say. And that good deeds don't always bring back positive consequences. Everyone says, oh, karma, you reap what you sow. Doesn't always work that way for these light workers or helpers. They often do much more. And that they can often see ascension symptom lists in other people's content and say, yeah, I can relate that I'm feeling all of these things from scrambled frequencies.
And the reason you might be feeling these sicknesses from ascension symptoms is because of what we just touched on earlier on, that jump between the third and the fifth, and the fourth not being there, and that's the scrambling that plays into the scrambling of those energies and frequencies and into those ascension symptoms that you go in and out of feeling.
Yeah, because we're also, like we said, on that continuum, we're in and out of these dimensions too, depending on what our natural reset is. We might experience in them higher frequencies and dimensions and then fall out of them, or vice versa. So let's talk about the new. What will it actually look like? How will these dimensions be grouped. A lot of thought went into this, and in the coming weeks, we are going to be releasing the thought that went behind each of these levels. But as we showed you with the 3 planets, there will be 3 different places, one for the 3rd, one for the 4th, and one for the 5th. Why? Because we have lessons to learn to progress through those dimensions. So the lessons for each and the frequencies for each will vary slightly. There will be 3 from disempowered to becoming empowered and then fully empowered in the 3rd dimension. And those will be harmonious, or at least not so far apart from each other that they feel like they're shredding each other if they're at slightly different frequencies.
They're closer in the spectrum.
Yes, than the other steps.
Yeah.
And so then we go into the 4th dimension. What would that be like? That is where beings are beginning to understand and be aware of the interdependency of the we, and then becoming fully empowered as the we. So these are much more community focused beings, and they're less about meeting the needs of self and more about meeting the needs of the all. And then, of course, there's a graduation into full unity consciousness. And that is a completely different way of operating as well. So if we think about this, next time we're going to tell you more about each of those distinct dimensions that are in the new cosmos, because it doesn't just apply to us earthlings, it also applies to the terrestrials as well.
And the spiritual realm.
And the spiritual realm. There were many things that needed to be fixed, and they are fixed for the new. So in our future talks, we will unpack also the different aspects, such as what will the contours of the land be like? What will the housing and communities, how will they be laid out? Because of course, starting from fresh, but with all the same technologies and capabilities, there's so many different choices to make, especially about being harmonious with the environment. So what will that look like? There's different governance models for the different dimensions. There's differences with communities, with financial systems, educational systems, correctional guidance. We're going to go through all of that with you.
And for the most part, we'll be taking you, looking at it at the most highest level, but at the micro level, this has been so well thought out.
Absolutely. And again, the work that we've done has been over the last 3 years, but no doubt this has been going on, we're told, for thousands of years. And we've just had some minor input, and we are blessed with being able to tell you about what has been pulled together, put together, what promises have been made and are being kept now for all of us. So we thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We have another episode coming up in just a few days. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
Share this information. Please share this information.
If it resonates with you, there might be others who are equally as pleased to find out these promises are coming true and that they are not crazy. They are experiencing 5D Ascension symptoms. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Be well.